Hey guys, in today's video we're going to take a look at a Nessus port. Now in all of the videos that I've shot in the past, when I run any kind of actual security testing, I run it through Tenable Nessus. However, before Tenable was Tenable Nessus, or before Nessus was part of Tenable, Nessus was actually an open source application and it was ported. So the port took place in about 2005 when Nessus ported over to Tenable to become a closed source application. However, the open source version became something called OpenVAS. Now, OpenVAS was purchased by a company called Greenbone, and while Greenbone does own it as a proprietary application, they still offer a free tier. So today we're going to install the free tier on a Kali Linux system. Keep in mind that Kali Linux, at least in the version that we're looking at here, which is 25 or 2025.4, is the version you want to run the actual OpenVAS application on. Generally speaking, when you run anything with a Linux-based system, you want to run the sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. And for our particular build, we do want to run sudo apt update, but we do not want to upgrade the distribution to the latest version. And the reason being is because there are problems in the gvm, or rather gvm setup process, where files seem to be stripped in the later versions of Debian or the later versions of Ubuntu. A matter of fact, I wouldn't even bother trying to run this on Linux Mint or Ubuntu because it just simply doesn't work right. The first place you're going to want to go is to download the actual ISO file. Now, I prefer an ISO file versus a torrent or any other kind of file where I have to have third-party applications in order to download them. So I'm going to tell you to navigate specifically to kali.org/get-kali /Kali-installer-images, and scroll down about a quarter of the way down the page and you'll see the little icon for the download to download the installer for the latest version of Kali. Now, upon the creation of this video, I'm on 2025.4 version. That version still works. However, the later versions of Kali may no longer work with the GVM setup. So it's something to keep in mind during the installation process that, at least from what I can tell, this is a working version to install the OpenVAS application. And if you go to the forums, you could go to Reddit and a whole bunch of different forums, and you're going to find a bunch of different information. You're going to find the people at Greenbone pointing the finger at the people at Ubuntu or Canonical and saying, you guys aren't including our packages anymore. And you're going to find the people at Ubuntu pointing the finger back at Greenbone, and that's going to have probably about 4 to 5 years of history involved in it, where they're pointing the fingers at each other about a missing package, but nobody seems to want to fix it. Once you get the ISO file downloaded, you're going to want to use either VMware's Workstation or Microsoft Hypervisor to actually run it. While you can install it local on a piece of hardware, it's not necessarily something that I would suggest doing because of what Kali actually is. But once you get it downloaded, you should have a screen that looks identical to what we see here. Keep in mind that you're going to need decent resources on your hypervisor or VM to run this actual application. The minimum requirements is 12 gigs of memory, about 100 gigs of drive space, and at least 4 cores. So don't think that you're going to install Kali on a cheap old laptop and then install OpenVAS on top of it. It may work for your storage, but you're going to have issues running it based off of memory and processor. Once you've got the allocated resources and you've installed the actual ISO file and you get to the point where you see here, you're going to want to probably install your OpenVM tools onto the actual system so you get a full screen, which is going to require you to do a sudo apt update. That portion is fine, but I would suggest not doing a sudo apt upgrade at this point. Let's start with opening up the terminal. So we'll just click on the terminal. Now on all Kali installs, you're going to see it right on the top here, right in plain sight without having to dig through any menu systems. And once you get into it, the box should look similar to what we have here. Let's start with an update, which is just sudo apt update and hit enter. Enter in your credentials when prompted. I'm going to note, at least on my configuration, that I have 1,754 packages that can be upgraded. I'm not going to upgrade any of them because upgrading them almost certainly will remove the GVM setup configuration necessary to install the OpenVAS. And once again, you have two companies that are just pointing fingers at each other, neither of which want to fix the actual missing packages. But then that's why Tenable Nessus is super expensive and this is freeware. Keep in mind that I'm not anti-Greenbone or this configuration. It would just be nice to have two different teams of people work together and actually fix the problem rather than pointing fingers. Whether you're on Microsoft Hypervisor or VMware Workstation or ESXi, it doesn't make much of a difference. You're going to want to run this actual tool install so that way you can get a full screen so you can see it in more than just a letterbox or a picture box format on your system. And in order to do that, it's just sudo apt install open-vm-tools space -y and hit enter. We'll note that we're actually upgrading the package because it's already installed on the system. However, we also want to install the desktop format of the tools. So that way we have more than just the terminal commands available, meaning that while this does work for SSH in just this format, we want to do the -desktop as well so we get a better visual or GUI. And in order to do that, we're just going to do sudo apt install open-vm-tools-desktop space -y and hit enter. Once that's completed, we're going to do sudo reboot now and hit enter. Once your system's back up and running, if you don't have a full screen yet, don't worry. You may still have to run the sudo apt upgrade in order to get the full screen. However, we could do that after we install the package. Once you're logged back into the system, once again, open up the terminal. Once the terminal is open, enter in sudo space apt space install space openvas space -y and hit enter. If you're prompted for credentials, enter in your credentials and allow the application to install. You'll note that inside of our Kali configuration, we'll see the installed dependencies, the installing of the application itself under GVM. And we'll also see the gvmd, the gvmd common, we'll see the library configuration and the OSPD for OpenVAS. This is important to note because if you don't see the installing GVM or the details with the GVM tools below, that means that the package of Kali you're running is too new. Once again, there seems to be some kind of a problem between the people at Greenbone and Canonical or whoever's in charge of actually upgrading the package for Ubuntu and Ubuntu-like systems, where they're not including the packages necessary to run this platform any longer. Once the configuration finalizes and finishes out the installation process, make sure you once again run the sudo apt install openvas and just make sure that the GVM is installed and that everything is currently running in the latest version or the version that is supported on your system. So we'll see not upgrading 1748 additional packages. We'll see upgrading, installing, and removing as 0. We could see that the GVM is already installed in the newest version of 25.04.3. Once you've confirmed that you have it installed, that there's no errors, and that it has pass the check to attempt to install it again. Once again, if you do this and you run this command and it does install additional things, that means something didn't go quite right in the initial install. In which case, I would actually run this multiple times to just confirm that things are installed. Like I said in prior portions in this video, there seems to be some issues with the configuration of the GVM itself, depending on the version of Kali you're running, the version of Ubuntu you're running, it all matters. And unfortunately, one version to the next doesn't seem to make a difference. It seems to be something with the actual connection for downloading it, where sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's flaky, sometimes it's not. But then again, that's why Tenable Nessus is very expensive, and this offers a freeware. But once you've confirmed that it is installed, the next thing to do is to go through the setup. So we're going to do sudo space gvm-setup and hit enter. And there we go. We'll see that now it's going to go through the actual configuration process. Now keep in mind that this is also a command you're going to want to run more than once. You're going to probably want to run this twice, and the process to actually download the lock of the location and download the files from the Greenbone site seems to be boat anchor slow. I'm not entirely sure why, but on their side, the best I could get is about 5 megabits down, which is horrific, considering I'm on a 1 gig squared connection. So plan on this taking a little while for it to actually functionally work. And I know somebody out there is probably going to be like, well, why are you showing us this if there's so many problems with downloading it? There are, but the actual application's pretty good. It gives you the ability to really like scan systems, to check for issues on your infrastructure, to check for issues on your systems themselves. It works really well for that. And as a result, it really is a good application, and honestly would be worth purchasing the enterprise version if you're in an enterprise scenario and just don't want to spend the money that Tenable Nessus charges. This is a great application or alternative. The unfortunate side is that I just don't think that they've invested in their infrastructure. And if they have invested in their infrastructure, it hasn't been much over the past 21 years, because I can't get anywhere near the speeds to download and install the application that I can get on the Tenable Nessus side. I also am lacking the ability to install it on supported or later updated versions of operating systems because the two companies just want to point fingers at each other and nobody seems to really want to fix the missing packages on the Linux side of the environment. As the system continues to download the actual update to download the packages for the actual software, it's important to keep an eye on this because you'll note that we have a user created with a password and we can see that the username is admin. And while we can go into the configuration and we can make a change to change the password of the configuration, it's a lot easier just to notate it here and change it in the GUI once you get into the actual system. So make sure that while this is actually applying this, that you grab the username and the password from the actual configuration and throw it into a notepad or a text document of some kind and just save it on your local system until the process completes where you can get into it for the first time and change the password in the GUI. Once again, I'll include the actual commands for this video inside of the description, and I'll also include the command to change the password. However, I've noticed that in some cases, even if you run the command and reboot the system to reload the packages, it doesn't seem to stick for the change. Now, I can't figure out if the username is case sensitive, and maybe it's case sensitive to the point where the GUI shows it in lowercase as a display name and it's a capital inside of the actual database. I'm not entirely certain. But what I can tell you is that it's a lot easier to just copy this and change the password once you get into the GUI. Once your configuration finalizes, obviously, I would suggest running this once again to check, but you'll see at the bottom of the configuration, it'll once again show us what the password is, as well as what the user account is on the configuration. At this point, it's going to tell you that the best thing you could do is to do the gvm-check-setup to make sure the setup is set up correctly. And you can do this first before you run the previous command again to re-download any packages that were missed. Again, there seems to be something funky in the configuration, and I'm not entirely sure why. The best guess that I could give, it's because they're pointing fingers at each other for 4 years and nobody actually wants to fix the root of the problem. On mine, because I believe the configuration actually looks okay, I don't see any errors, I'm actually just going to run the check. And to do that, I'm just going to do sudo space gvm-check-setup and hit enter. Once the configuration runs, it's going to tell you that, your password policy is empty. It suggests that you modify your password configuration, and it'll tell you whether or not the application is okay. Now, if you want to attempt to change your password before you log into it for the first time, this is how you would do it. It's just sudo space gvmd space _user equal admin space _new password equal, and then whatever you want to make your password. After you've run your password reset command and set your password to whatever you want to attempt to make it, at that point you're going to have to stop and then restart the services to get into the system. And in order to do that, it's simply just sudo space gvm-stop to stop them, and then just change stop to start. So sudo space gvm-start to restart them. And at that point, we should be able to access the GUI on the server to access the actual configuration or the portal for our security configuration, scanning and everything else. Again, it's very similar to like what Nessus actually looks like today. It's just more Linux-based than Windows-based. I think Windows tries to make things more pretty in the GUI and more simplified. In the Linux side, it's a little more in-depth on the configuration, but we'll take a look at that next. And you'll see once you stop and then restart the services, you're going to see that it's actually going to do a countdown before it executes a HTML configuration on port 9392 on 127.0.0.1 as an HTTPS port to open up your actual browser to the login screen where you have your configuration to get into the OpenVAS setup. Which, once it does that, you're going to see something like what we see here on the screen, which you'll have to click on the advanced because there is no certificate. You'll have to choose the accept the risk to continue. And at this point, you should be able to log into your OpenVAS setup. Once you have your username and password entered, you're going to simply just hit sign in. And it'll prompt you more than likely to ask you whether or not you want to save your password. That's up to you. I would suggest not saving it and changing it once you're in the GUI in the configuration itself to make it something that's more manageable for you to continue to log into the system. Okay guys, so now that we're in the actual system, what we really need to do here is we need to go into our administrator account and change our password. And once we have our password changed, we're going to test to make sure we can still log in and authenticate into the system. And after that, we're going to go into the terminal once again, and we're going to run the updates, or rather the package upgrades on the system. Reboot, and I'm going to show you how to make sure you can get back into this configuration after your reboot. So to start with, let's navigate over to our admin itself and click on Settings. At that point, you should see the third one down should be listed as Password. We're going to click on the Password Actions pencil icon. This should give us the ability now to change our password. We're going to have to enter in the old password as we had it configured, and then new, and then confirm that password. And that'll give us the ability to change our password for login. So enter in your old password as you had it configured, and then enter in your new password, confirm your new password, and on the right, you'll see a little floppy disk icon, which indicates to save. We're going to click on that to save. I'm going to note that on the top, you will get a slide out to say that the save was confirmed and that you could continue on. Now at this point, we could log out or disconnect from the system because we've changed our password. Open up a terminal after you close your browser window and enter in sudo space apt space upgrade space -y and hit enter. More than likely, you'll be prompted to enter your credentials. If you are, enter your credentials and hit enter. Once your updates have completed, or upgrades rather, have completed without an error, reboot your system simply with sudo reboot now. Log back into your system when it comes back up and open another terminal. This time, enter in sudo space apt space dist -upgrade space -y and hit enter. This should upgrade your actual Kali Linux system to the latest build version. Assuming you followed the guide step by step, doing this will allow you to still maintain the GVM configuration or OpenVAS, plus install the latest build, upgrades, and updates for your Kali system while still retaining the older package versions to run the OpenVAS system itself. If you're running VMware Workstation to run your Kali Linux configuration, I would strongly suggest you take snapshots after you have the package configured correctly where it's up and running and before you upgrade the system or distribution upgrade the system. Only because if you need to, it's a lot easier to revert back with a snapshot than it is to have to uninstall and reinstall or figure out what went wrong. Once your system comes back up, at this point you should have full screen. You should no longer be in your picture box or your windowed mode. It's important to keep in mind that while you have the ability to run your GVM or OpenVAS system, it does not start automatically when you launch the actual operating system. So you will have to start it manually through your command line. In order to do that, open up the terminal, which once again is simply just clicking the terminal icon on the top. At this point, all you have to enter in is sudo space gvm-start and hit enter. When you're prompted for your credentials, enter them and hit enter. This should look similar to what we see on the screen, where we're going to see the Greenbone Security Assistant launch the 127.0.001:9392. And eventually, this is going to execute the actual browser configuration. We're going to see it's opening in 3, 2, 1. And now it should automatically open. There it is. And now we're at the logon screen. Once again, enter an admin for your username and whatever you just changed your password to get back into the system. Now, once you're in the actual application again, after you've rebooted, you ran all your updates, and you've given it enough time, the system will download some updated configurations for reporting to give you some information on the infrastructure in which the system is installed. In the background, outside of the Kali configuration that we're actually running, I do right now have a Fedora system that's running that has absolutely no patches on it on the same subnet. I guess I could have installed Windows for the sake of showing off the Windows capability with the CVE reports, but I had Fedora built on this particular subnet, so I figured why not just turn it on. And if we click on security information and go to NVTs, we can now see an output of all of the configuration advisories for a Fedora system that is currently not patched, including the CVE reports. And that's why this is a really cool system. It really is. And it is frustrating to try to get it to set up correctly because you do have to jump through hoops. But once you do get it set up, it gives you a lot of invaluable information about your infrastructure. And it's something that I would highly suggest that you run, especially if you're running any bootleg systems on your infrastructure. Scan them. See what they come back with. See if they're clean. You could do exactly what we do on this channel using the exact same software as I'm showing you here. Let me know down in the comments if this is something that you could see using even inside of your enterprise configuration to run scans against your environment to come back with information on reports or possible vulnerabilities found on your infrastructure. And once again, thanks so much for your continued support.